I say this whenever you feel the heavy loads of life fall on your shoulder. Whenever yung sa, ay, ang kalibutan, ang kabugat sa kalibutan, murag akong gibating ang kalibutan, nahagmak sa kuha, kaduhog na mo na. Ay, pastor, murag pag gibatin ako, murag na gitakluban ko sa kalibutan. Huy, limang ka na. Pwede kasi taklubag nigo, pero kalibutan dili. Pero sometimes, tungod sa severe nga pain and sorrow, you describe it, you say, well, as if the whole world has fallen on my shoulder. And when that thing happens to you, let me remind you this morning that you only have one option. Do not look forward, neither looking back or around or looking down. What you need to do is to look up toward heaven and see that God is always in full control. When things happen in your life and they're beyond your ability to solve, look up. When sickness comes, when it is life-threatening, do what King Hezekiah did. He was told that you will set your house, please, your family in order. Set the business of your home in order, Mr. King, for you must die and not live. God told that you must die and not live. You know what he said? You know what he did? Nigawas siya ang trono. And that man went to the wall. Raised both his hands. Not only raising his hands toward the wall, he lifted up his head. He lifted up his head toward heaven. So God, I need you. This is in the middle of a big problem. The Syrians are going to attack the city of Jerusalem, and we are so helpless. They have 185 brave soldiers about to attack us, and here I am. Lord, you just announced I'm going to die. Who will take care of the work? Who will lead the work? He stood and cried to God. You know what? The prophet Isaiah came to him and said, Mr. Hezekiah, God has seen your tears. God has heard your prayer. God said, I will extend 15 more years to your life. When sickness, even a life-threatening sickness comes to you, you have nothing to do. You have no other option. Lift up your eyes to God. Number 3, when you are facing a very strong opposition in life and your ministry, look up to heaven in prayer. This is a message. I know some pastors will monitor this. And let me address to the pastors and the workers and the church workers and the members of our churches all over Mindanao. Let me ask you, when great opposition comes, when an opposition comes to hurt the church and hurt you, do not retaliate. Do not worry about it. All you need to do, Daniel's enemy have agreed. They have manipulated the plan to kill Daniel. You know what Daniel, how he responded? He went to his house and lifted up his head and said, God, you know this. You know this. You know this. At one time, Jesus was teaching. Our greatest example is Jesus. In John chapter 6, there were 5,000 men, not counting the women and the children. So there are about 20 more thousand people during the time. And then he signaled his disciples, he said, let's make a huddle for a while. Pero basketball, bitaw nga, nalabuan ka na, and then the coach would say, time out! And then he would call those people. They call it a huddle. Short talk, quick talk. So he called his disciples and said, when shall we? The Bible says Jesus had compassion to those people. He said, when shall we when can we buy bread? That this may take, at least makapanimo man lang sila. kato mga tawanan ko, nagsunod-sunod po tungod sa paan. Tsaka samantama, makatimo-timo malang sila. But then the Bible says, this he said to prove them. For he himself knew what he would do. Diba sa Bible? Kabalo siya. Ingon ni Philip, Sir, naibata diri, nasi 5 kabuk gagmay nga kanang pandisal, paan, niya, ibis o di ba kanang duha kabuk isda, ipalaman, kanang siguro bulinaw, di magito barilis, kay bata raman. Saan na ito ni 15 daghana? 200 penny worth of bread is not sufficient. Abi mo, maski unsa pa nimo kadunahan, there will come a time that your resources, your wisdom, your ability, you realize is not sufficient. 200 penny worth of bread is not sufficient that this at least masigamay lang na makatilaw sila. Look at your insufficiency. Look at the work of God is so great. The burden of the work of God is so great. How can we finish that 500 churches in the midst of pandemic? How? How? Humanly speaking, I know not how. But I believe God is a way. 200 penny worth of bread is not sufficient. And then I look at the account of Luke chapter 9 verse 15. The Bible says, Luke 9:16, Jesus took the bread into his hands. And you know what he did? Make the men sit down by family. Social distancing. Ano ba social distancing? So make the men sit down. He took the bread, and the next thing he did, he gave thanks to God. Tanaw ra ko Ginoo, kining giprito nga po linaw Ginoo, but what are they among so many? I took it out of the sufficiency of man into you. He prayed, and all of a sudden, miracle took place. Kaon, bahog-bahog, why limit? Nasubrahan pag 12 basket. Our insufficiency can claim the sufficiency of God. In what way? Look up. What way? God says, look up. Look up. Look up. Members, God can do miracles in our church. God can do miracles in our ministry. The secret is look up.